Welcome to the Nerds of Comedy, the show where comedians give their takes on classic and cult comedy movies, TV shows, and videos. Today we are talking about Hot Shots.
Hot Shots.
The open sea. Oh, God, I wish I could smell. I had my nostrils fried in Parmesan.
Welcome to the Nerds of Comedy. I'm Sean.
I'm Brad McMurran.
Why you always say your last name?
Just in case people forget.
Okay, let's do that again though.
Okay.
I'm Sean Devereux.
I'm Brad.
There you go. We are the owners of the Push Comedy Theater. We are in the lobby of the Push Comedy Theater with our good friend Ed Carden to talk about Hot Shots.
Hey guys, thanks for having me on.
Ed.
I'm a big fan of this movie, and so let's talk about it.
Yeah. All right. So when we put out the call for all our funny friends to bring in things to watch, you picked Hot Shots. Why Hot Shots?
Well, growing up, I was a big fan of, the Zaz movies, Zucker, Abrams, and Zucker.
Me too.
Going back, I think, and like Hot Shots is just Abrams. It's kind of his kind of solo. But I love that style. I love that kind of just rapid fire jokes. Like honestly, I've written some sketches. I've written some funny stuff. But I really wish I could write that.
Me too.
So I'm as a comedy writer and performer, I'm kind of in awe of the stuff they do with those movies. And I think I picked Hot Shots is because that came out in the 90s, like the early 90s, and I feel
91,
I feel like that's more like my generation than say Airplane, which is a little bit older, or like Kentucky Fried Movie, which is older than that.
Don't forget the biggest one of all.
Well, The Naked Gun.
Ooh, that's my jam.
And it's like Police Squad and The Naked Gun, but I feel like Hot Shots is a little bit more forgotten, a little bit.
Yes,
I think so. Yeah.
And I think that, and especially after watching it again for this, like I think it still holds up pretty well in a lot of ways.
I couldn't disagree with you more, but I know what you mean.
Yeah. So before we go into this, this is good. It's got to be a fight. All right. So before we go into that, so just real quick, the premise, it's essentially a parody of Top Gun.
Yeah, like it parodies a lot of movies simultaneously, but Top Gun is kind of the overarching.
Yeah, and Charlie Sheen plays the main character. He plays
Topper Harley.
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
And then you have Llyod Bridges as Tug Benson.
Yeah,
Admiral Tug Benson. So I think I'm gonna fall more on the side of Brad on this one. I do remember Hot Shots. I actually remember this as a kid. I liked it as a kid, but watching it now, I didn't have that same love for it. So let's get down into it. So Brad, why are you not that big of a fan of this?
I'm with Ed. I mean, he just brought up these movies, so I will say that the Naked Guns I've just watched through. We share the same Plex thing, so you know that. I've just gone through them all again. I'm so obsessed with it. And I agree with you I want to write like them. But if you go back and watch those, I think the trick to these movies is being funny without being cheesy, right? Don't you think that's sort of the line they play on?
Yeah.
And like in that movie, you have things like, oh, he's got my dad's eyes, and like people are pulling over things where it's his real dad's eyes, and like it just didn't hold up to me because I actually watched The Naked Guns and then saw that he, told me we had to watch this for you, and I remember like you, I loved it when I was younger. I think it's just a Top Gun of sort of, just a parody of Top Gun that's kind of dated. Yeah.
I mean, I will say this. Hot Shots has a sequel, Hot Shots Part 2.
Part 2, yes.
And I think that, like, in a lot of ways, most people probably remember the sequel more.
I do. I did. If you ask
and
me,
I think part of it is because in the sequel, they kind of up the silliness quotient a lot more. With Hot Shots 1, it's still very silly.
Yeah.
But it's a little bit more it's a little bit more of a straightforward parody. Like it kind of stays on the rails.
I think so too.
I think you're right.
And I think for another thing is that it is, while there have some scenes that parody other things, it is essentially from start and top to bottom a Top Gun parody. Whereas the Naked Guns,
or even Hot Shot Part 2, you get into Rambo and things like that.
Yeah, various others. But this was almost a very, very strict parody of Top Gun, whereas like the Naked Gun is more parodying a genre of movies, cop movies, where this is a very, very specific parody. And to be honest, I've never been a big Top Gun fan. It's not one of my favorite movies. I know you go to sleep dreaming of Tom Cruise every night, but not
volleyball
me.
Scenes.
So yeah.
I will say this. So let's get into the performances a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Here's the thing. Like, I really liked Charlie Sheen in this era.
Yeah.
I'm not so much of a fan of the stuff he did outside of the 90s, but like I feel like in the late 80s and the 90s he was just killing it. And like he does a great job like basically playing it real as Topper most of the time. And also Valeria Golino. It amazed me just how talented she was. Like the singing scene. Like, she had a really good voice. They have this scene that kind of parodies the Fabulous Baker Boys.
Yeah.
It does a really good job with that. And, like, I was amazed. Like, I didn't remember that her voice was, like, that good.
Well, was she actually singing, or did they get somebody to dub it?
Here's the thing. If they had someone to, like, dub her singing voice, that person really did a good job of, like, matching what her voice would sound like.
I love it. Yeah, and don't get me wrong. When I said I didn't like this movie, I did have some fallout in my seat laughing moments.
Oh,
I think the person that steals the movie is Llyod Bridges. That was kind of his It was kind of his coming out party post Airplane, being like, "Hey, this guy can still do this deadpan ridiculousness."
Absolutely.
I love soup. I think I love soup. Son of a bitch and shell. It's either soup or duck. Which one do you shoot?
Duck, sir. Are you all right, sir?
Of course I'm all right. Why? What have you heard? Oh, by the way, I want to thank you for having us over to dinner the other night. Cheryl and I thought the stroganoff was marvelous.
But, sir, we didn't have dinner the other night.
Really? Where the hell was I? And who's this Cheryl?
I would say every single moment he's on screen, you can't take your eyes off.
He was my favorite of this movie. Yeah.
So I would say that if you're someone like you guys that don't think the movie holds up, just watch it for his stuff.
Maybe I'm being too harsh. Like I said, I enjoyed it, but I was expecting a lot more. Because like you, I've kind of seen like some of the Police Squads and the Naked Guns within the past few years. And I just think those are a bit stronger. But I will say Llyod Bridges is freaking amazing in this movie.
The other thing I'll say is that with this movie, you can tell they didn't want to spend a lot of money on actors. So you have these great like improv guys, like you have like Ryan Stiles and like Bill Irwin, and I think the guy that played Dead Meat Thompson was an improv guy. You also have Cary Elwes, who's very underrated outside of Princess Bride.
There's no doubt about it. He shows up in that show Psych. He has a character, and he's so great in it. Yeah.
No, like I think like most people know Cary Elwes as Wesley from Princess Bride, but I feel like when he shows up in other stuff, he always kills it.
He was great in Days of Thunder.
Yeah, and he's great in this movie as kind of the Iceman analog.
Yeah, I liked.
Was John Cryer?
Yeah, John Cryer. As,
John Cryer is someone whose your mileage may vary. A lot of people.
He's the reason I really mean this when I say it. Sorry, John Cryer. He's part of the reason I didn't like this movie. Yeah, there's something cheesy as shit about that guy.
You don't like the washout character?
No, not really. No, not at all. Yeah.
I'll say this. I do love the scene where he's like, guys, it's an amazing coincidence, but my father is the hunter that killed your father.
Yeah.
And he's got a family portrait.
Are you okay?
This is an incredible coincidence. But the hunter who mistakenly killed your father was Henry Pfaffenbach, my father. I feel terrible.
Because that's the thing, like with this movie, like you have, with most Abrams and Zucker stuff, you have these great funny lines, but you also have these sight gags, and the way they layer them together can be just incredible.
Yeah, and I know this is not the one we're talking about because I believe it's part due that I'm talking about. But if you remember,
we were going to talk about that one on another one of these.
What he says in that one, there's that moment I love that you're talking about. He's like, I don't know what it is, or was this one? I'm getting confused.
Yeah, this is one.
When he says, it seemed like I heard everybody I'm around. He throws that rock into the water.
A stone.
And it skips and hits the guy in the canoe. that kind of stuff I love. Yeah.
But like I said, like I feel like Sheen and Golino, they do a good job of just playing it real and just playing it real in this ridiculous nonsense that's happening.
Yeah, and it's also, think about it as an actor too. How we talked about this yesterday with Naked Guns and those things. When something weird happens, they have to acknowledge it, but keep the scene going. Does that make sense? Like, if you think as an actor, how would you play it? I am with Ed on this. I wish we could write like this. Yeah.
So, if somebody has never seen Hot Shots before, how are you going to sell them on getting them to sit down and watch this movie?
Well, I mean, I would say that if you like movies like The Naked Gun or you like Airplane and you haven't seen Hot Shots, it definitely should be on your list if you like stuff like that, because I feel like it is kind of like early 90s version of that. That wasn't the Naked Gun sequels.
Yeah. And you have the new Top Gun movie coming out. So, like, I know Charlie Sheen hasn't been doing much lately, but Topper could be returning.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Charlie Sheen's been a little bitter, like since
winning.
Yeah.
yeah. He had some problems with those days, and doesn't he have HIV now?
He's got some issues. He slept with some not so good people to sleep with, I think is the nice way of putting it.
There you go.
There it is.
That's our take on Charlie Sheen.
He likes women of the evening, to put it mildly.
We're probably going to cut this whole part out.
Winning.
Yeah, but we'll see. All right, so that has been Hot Shots. Stick around. One day we'll get to Hot Shots Part 2.
It's amazing.
Do you like it better than Hot Shots Part 1?
I do.
Too.
Like I said, I think the fact that it's sillier and that it just goes off the rails.
I like that if you're going to do it.
Why did you pick then Hot Shots Part 1? Just because of continuity?
Technically, I picked the entire. I picked both.
Oh, okay.
But you guys want to do this one first, so that's what we're doing.
Yeah, again, I thought it would be easier for the audience to follow along if we could.
His microphone matches his glasses, by the way.
What?
Your microphone matches your glasses.
Yeah, I like to color coordinate.
Yeah, Women of the Evening.
This is the type of stuff you'll get on the Nerds of Comedy. If you like Women of the Evening, and TV shows, and movies, and videos, please like, share, and subscribe to our videos.
Mash that subscribe button.
That's right. Thank you so much, Ed Carden.
Hey, I'll be back.
Love you, Ed.
Yeah. I'm Brad.
I'm Sean.
This has been the Nerds of Comedy.